the friend who arranged the trip. We'll be riding on 27004, a Coco of Class EM2, later Class 77. That's a Bobo EM1 as we cross the Wicker Arches. This route to Manchester was opened in 1845 by a predecessor of the Great Central Railway. In 1923 it became part of the LNER, which started electrification works in 1938. Due to the Second World War, this wasn't completed until 1955 under British Railways. Today this remains a single track, just to serve Stocksfield Steelworks. The Steelworks line diverges left. Despite being electrified, beyond here was to close as a through route in 1970 and completely in 1981. We used the newer tunnel built for electrification. The old one hadn't enough space for the wires. Please comment if you know the name of this level crossing and signal box. Catch points to stop a breakaway colliding with the following train. Please see my notes below. From this former junction with the surviving line from Barnsley, a single track still runs into Penistone. The line to Huddersfield diverges right, but our route has long gone. Electric locos of this vintage evidently had manual acceleration. Dinting Viaduct on the line to Huddersfield. We're now on the route of the long trains of coal from West Yorkshire pits across the Pennines to consumers on the Lancashire side. There's now a gap while Alan changed film. After a long climb, we are nearing the 300 metres, 980 feet, summit of the line. The overhead is fed at 1500 volts DC by many substations like this. Empty steel carrying wagons returning to Sheffield and ending with the guard's brake van. We're entering a new section of line. It leads to the newest of the 3-mile Woodhead tunnels. It was built for the electrification to replace 2 old single-line tunnels which had no room for the overhead wires. Steam engine crews, breathing fumes for the almost 5-kilometre climb, called them the hell holes. Descending Longdendale, this main line has on both sides loop lines so that slow freights can be overtaken by faster trains. We run beside a series of reservoirs which supply water to Manchester. The Woodhead Tunnel through which we passed now houses 400,000-volt cables of national grid. Although this avoids a line of pylons across the moors, it would prevent reuse of the tunnel for a railway. One branch of the main road from Barnsley crosses here before continuing over more moorland to Glossop. The reservoirs were built from 1848, just 3 years after this railway opened, so it's likely that supplies of materials and manpower came by train. The overtaking loop lines seem to end before isolated Vale House signal box, named after a nearby farm. A long coal train waits for us to hurry past. A steel stockholder now occupies the goods yard. Hadfield, now one terminus of a local service from Manchester. The branch to Glossop, now the other terminus. The C sign is the start of the 15 miles an hour temporary speed restriction across Dinting Viaduct. We were warned of this by that yellow board and 15 sign glimpsed on leaving Hadfield. That's Dinting Parish Church, and Dinting Vale below. As we approach Mottram Yard, the first of two passenger trains passes. This impressive viaduct carries not a railway but the A626 Glossop Road. It's likely that one of these two was the Manchester to Harwich boat train connecting with the overnight sailing to Hook of Holland. Godley East Box overtaking Loop Start. Ahead at Godley Junction, the now long closed CLC route through Stockport diverges. We meet a Class 506 three-car unit on a stopper to Glossop and Hadfield. Hyde Junction, where the Woodley branch converges, separate goods lines have started. Today this is only 2 tracks. Dewsnap sidings are now a factory estate. Guide Bridge was a complex junction. These curved tracks have gone. You could diverge left here to Manchester Central, and 1 mile on, a link from the same line converges. Soon the Great Central's locomotive works. Gorton Shed's mechanical coaling plant. Different electric power systems side by side, AC on the left and DC on the right. Our route closed to passenger trains in 1970, to freight in 1981. From here to Hadfield was converted to AC in 1984. We draw slowly into platform 1 to stop short of a spare DC loco.